Hey everyone, welcome back. My name's Dustin Crace, and today we are going to do a game discussion, and we're going to talk about this game right here, Dragon Quest VII: Fragments of the Forgotten Past for the Nintendo 3DS, brought to us, of course, by Square Enix, and I believe Nintendo had a hand in bringing this over as well. And what this is is a complete graphic and sort of just complete overhaul in general of Dragon Quest VII, which was an RPG for the PlayStation 1. I played it last year. I've actually played it several times, but I actually finished it last year. And Dragon Quest VII is one of the longest JRPGs out there. Like, you could just sink hours upon hours upon hours. I think when I finally beat the PlayStation 1 version, I was around 90 some hours. And this one, I haven't quite finished it yet because I really want to take my time and I want to master all the jobs and just kind of see everything there is to see in this version of the game. So I'm about 75 hours into this one right now. And this is the perfect way to play Dragon Quest VII. Unless you want to go buy a PlayStation 1 copy for, I don't even know how much it goes for now because I got mine back in the day. And I've never really paid attention to the prices, but this is definitely the easiest way to get a hold of the version of the game. It's the easiest way to play it on the go on the 3DS, and it's just flat out the best version. It really takes kind of a, how do I want to put this? A diamond in the rough RPG. If you love Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest, you're going to like the PlayStation 1 version. It's going to feel like the old school games, and you're really going to have a good time with it. It's very long, very slow. If you're sort of newer to the series, this streamlines a lot of the game. It doesn't really shorten it all that much, but it just kind of picks up the pacing in certain places, especially like the first dungeon of the game. It was kind of a monotonous slog to get through, and until you learned the return spell, you had to do it over and over and over again. So this one really picks up the pace of that first spot, and whereas it might be 10 hours in the PlayStation 1 version before you actually get to a fight, it's like 2 hours in this version. So things speed up really quick. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk about it. Dragon Quest VII drops you in on this very small island, and that is it. That's the entire world, is this small island. And you play, of course, a nameless character that is basically a proxy for you. And you meet two friends, Kiefer and Maribel. And Kiefer's just all about exploring this island and trying to figure out the history of the island. And they just happen to discover one day this old ruined temple. And through exploring that, these characters get wrapped up in this very big earth-shaking storyline where basically the world itself has been sort of destroyed and you have to kind of piece it all back together. Really an interesting story and really an interesting take on the traditional Dragon Quest storyline. It seems like with the early games, they really try to do something different with each one, kind of a different mindset. Like with Dragon Quest IV, with the chapters and the different ways of telling the story. Dragon Quest VI with the traveling back and forth between the two worlds. They always try to do something a little bit different in these games. And the whole time travel and restoring the world thing is really a neat idea. And I'm glad that the game has this beautiful presentation. And I really think if people give this one a shot, they'll really say, oh yeah, Dragon Quest VII really was a good game. Because it kind of got shit on a little bit back in the day. Because of its graphics. It looked like garbage for its time on PlayStation 1. Even when it came out, it looked dated. Because, Final Fantasy VII had come out, and everybody wants these big cinematic graphics. And here's simple little Dragon Quest with its sort of rudimentary Super Nintendo graphics on the PlayStation 1, and it kind of rubbed people the wrong way, I guess. Me being a big Dragon Quest fan back in the day, I still thought, this is still good. I'm used to playing on the NES because we didn't get the Super Nintendo ones over here. So it was a bit of a jump for me. I was like, these graphics look fine. But I guess a lot of other people really did not like it. But really a beautiful, beautiful game, wonderful storyline, great characters, funny as hell in places. Really just a good yarn. But the meat and potatoes of this game, much like many RPGs that have these job systems in it, is level grinding. You just level up your jobs, level up your characters. Leveling up certain jobs gets you new jobs that you then pick those and level up. And it was a bit hard in the PlayStation 1 version because eventually you would just level cap out in a place and not be able to continue to level your jobs in that area. This game has a new system with these, what'd they call them? Traveler's tablets. And the great thing about Traveler's tablets, you get some in the game from characters. You also can download some as DLC. The great thing about these tablets, which transport you to it's another dungeon that's kind of made up of portions of other dungeons that you've already been in. But the great thing about these is there's absolutely no level cap. So you can blow through these things and just grind and grind and grind and get those job levels, sky high. That's where I'm at in the game right now. I really want to grind these jobs out. I want to have the main character and the 4 party members or the 3 other party members that are at the end just be super powerful. I just want to go in and I want to stomp the final boss, and I'm going to do that. But I figured I better get this video out before then, because who knows how many hours that's going to take and how many weeks that's going to take to get done. But I will eventually get it done. But yeah, the job grinding and the level grinding is a big portion of this game and Dragon Quest in general. So if you don't like grindy RPGs, this might not be one to pick up, especially with the Bravely Defaults out there that make level grinding as painless as possible. This one is a bit more painful. Sometimes it just feels like you never get to the end of a job. It just feels like it goes on and on and on forever. But yeah, really a great system. I love the whole thing of it. The only problem I have is it seems like from the PlayStation 1 version, they kind of nerfed the job grinding a little bit, in that in the PlayStation 1 version, it felt like once you learned a skill, you got to keep that skill no matter which jobs you change to. And that's pretty much the same for this with the basic jobs. Whenever you learn a skill from the basic jobs, you keep those jobs or keep those skills. But when you get to the more advanced jobs, if you change jobs, you will lose those skills. Now, if you change back to the job, for instance, let's say the Sage. If you master the Sage and you get the multi-heal spell, which heals everybody in your party for a significant amount, very useful spell. But if you switch to another job, you lose that ability. But if you go back to being a Sage, you'll get that ability back. So it's kind of a push-pull. You master these jobs, learn all these skills, and then you can go back to them and sort of craft your party how you want it to be for that final battle or the final dungeons. So that's what I'm working on there. But other than that, the big part of this game is traveling back in time, piecing together what happened to the world that makes it the way it is, and then solving the puzzles, fixing the world in the past, which brings the island to the future, and you get to go explore that island and see how things have progressed. It's a really kind of a cool system, and especially when the game makes you kind of follow certain characters over several different islands, and you kind of see how their stories evolve and how the characters evolve and ultimately what happens to them. And some of them live happily ever after, some of them have horrible stories. So it's really a nice mixture of sort of good and bad what happens to these characters. Graphically, this game looks gorgeous. The 3D looks really good. When you compare this to like what it was on the PlayStation 1, this is like out and out just a jaw-dropping game. Much in the same way that Dragon Quest VIII was jaw-dropping back in the PlayStation 2 days. There's been multiple times just playing this where I'm like, oh my gosh, these graphics look so good for a Dragon Quest game. But it still kind of retains that old school Dragon Quest feel. It's really sort of the perfect balance between new and old, and I really appreciate that. Audio wise, there's no voiceover work in this, so it's strictly old school like that. Sorry, kids, you have to actually read. Um, but the music, this does have an orchestrated score on it. I think Dragon Quest VIII also had an orchestrated score for the 3DS version, but I think it's losing it when it comes over here in the States, which seems really weird. I don't know why that would happen, but I think that's what I read anyway. But beautiful orchestrated score. It's so weird, though, to hear it because I got so used to the PlayStation 1 songs. And sometimes on the 3DS songs, they're either sped up or slowed down. They sound kind of different. So it was kind of a new experience to, hear these songs that I've become so familiar with over the 90-some hours I spent with the PlayStation 1 version, to hear them again. But you do kind of get run down on certain songs, much like the PlayStation 1 version. Especially if you do a lot of the Traveler's Tablets, because you'll just hear the same songs over and over and over again. And it does kind of wear you down a little bit, but then you can just turn the audio off and have a record on the background or something like that. But anyway, yeah. Dragon Quest VII, Fragments of the Forgotten Past. It seems like a lot of people were really excited about this coming out, it bodes really well for the future of the series over here in the States. It's kind of a love-hate thing with Dragon Quest, because like in the NES days, we got 4 games over here. Super Nintendo, we got nothing. PlayStation 1, we got 1 game. PlayStation 2, we got 1 game. There's been a smattering of handheld games throughout the years. But it seems like there's this real ebb and flow to Dragon Quest, where Square Enix or Enix, whoever has it at the time, kind of wanted to make a big push with it. And then it's successful for a while. Like the DS era was really great to be a Dragon Quest fan, because they brought out so many Dragon Quest games over here. And then they just started to pull back for some reason. And it really kind of sucked there for a while, where we weren't getting any new games, because Dragon Quest is my favorite series. I just fell in love with it back in the day, and I still love it to this day, and I'm so glad that this game came out over here. Dragon Quest VIII is going to be coming out in January, I believe. So definitely want to look in on that, because it is an amazing game. And hopefully this series will continue to go. Dragon Quest Heroes was a pretty big success. I haven't really looked at the numbers for Dragon Quest builders, but I figure a lot of people would probably be kind of interested in that too. So who knows? Maybe when Dragon Quest XI comes out over here for the PlayStation 4, that'll be a big success as well. I kind of hope so. But anyway, guys, that is it for Dragon Quest VII. It's a fantastic, lengthy RPG. Very retro, but also very forward-thinking in a lot of ways. And I definitely think if you're looking for something new to play and you want to play a nice, long RPG, definitely give it a go. Especially if you've been playing a lot of like modern, very drab, mature, serious games, whatever you want to call them. Sometimes you just need some zaniness, and Dragon Quest always brings zaniness. So anyway, guys, that is it for this video. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. I'll see you next time.